future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
She's passionate about telling stories of amazing women who are rocking the world and empowering women to live, love, and thrive. Here's your host, Catherine Gray.
Hello, welcome to Live, Love, Thrive, Women's Empowerment Hour, brought to you by 360 Karma. Well, we are next week going to have some incredible guests, as we always do, and that is going to be Amy Siegel, the producer-director of Freedom to Marry, the movie, and you will not want to miss that, as well as Vanice Reeder, who's also a producer-director, but also involved with a very important nonprofit that helps inner-city kids. So if you don't want to miss any episodes, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or download us on your podcast on iTunes or iHeartRadio or one of your popular podcast apps. Today, we have an incredible UBN host from here at Universal Broadcasting System, Dr. Marissa Pei. And later in the show, we're going to have renowned speaker, author, and speech coach, Mimi Donaldson. So stay tuned for that. Right now, please give a warm welcome to Dr. Marissa Pei. Yay! Yay! Hi, Dr. Marissa. How are you?
I'm happy and grateful. Yeah. Thank you. How are you?
How does it feel to be in the hot seat?
It's warm. It's a little warm down here.
and very excitingly so, you just arrived from India.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was very blessed and grateful I went there to receive an award. I got the 2017 Iconic Woman of the Year.
Wow.
Bettering the World.
Oh my gosh, you go,
from
girl.
The Women's
That's
Economic
awesome.
Forum. I got to speak with them. I had a little side gig doing some consulting for MasterCard. But the highlight of the trip was getting to warp young Indian minds with a couple hundred of underprivileged children in an NGO literacy in India, and getting to look each one of them in the eye and tell them that they can do anything their heart and mind
I love that. What good work you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's part of my peace work around the planet. I like to balance out the professional stuff with peace work.
Speaking of balance, that's the name of your show,
Yes.
Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa
Yes,
Pei.
it's actually Take My Advice.
I'm not using
it.
I love that.
Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa.
Very clever.
Yes.
I love that.
Thank you.
So you're giving your advice, but you're not using it? Yeah, I bet you're using it.
It depends on the day. It depends on the day. I'd say 88% of the time I use my own advice.
The good thing is with advice, we can give it away and still have it.
Yes. Very good. Very good.
So tell me about your path to all the good work that you're doing. And I know not only do you have a radio show here on UBN, but also your
CNBC News Radio,
right.
on KCAA and iHeartRadio.
Yep.
And it's wonderful being able to splatter hope and happiness everywhere I go and on the airwaves. So I'm really grateful for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And every one of us has this journey to where we're, why we're doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're spreading joy and happiness and hope to people around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And let's look at what is your background that brought you to this incredible work that you're doing? I know you told me that you grew up in a tiny town in Canada.
Yes.
One of the only Chinese families there.
The only.
Yes. The only. And that had to have been really kind of a difficult time for you, I would imagine. Well, challenging, I should say.
Yeah, and in every challenge, there is the opportunity to grow. And I really have gotten to the point, and I'm glad that I can say that all the things that have happened to me in my life, good and bad, have shaped me into who I am. And that is, like all of us, unique and imperfectly perfect.
Right.
Individuals, spiritual beings having a human experience. So in growing up in that very homogenous environment, I understood what it meant to be different. And different in those days was not good. Still to these days, difference is not exactly something that people say, oh, yay, you're different.
Yeah.
Usually different is met with cynicism, skepticism, fear, ignorance,
Don't you think it
prejudice.
depends on the person? Because, I welcome diversity and
You're
different
weird.
character.
You're a good weird. A good weird. And
That's
my
why I live
guess,
in Los Angeles.
Yes, and my guess is your diverse background
Yes.
and your choices have also made you into the valuing diversity
Yes,
person
I think
you
the
are.
challenge of being gay does make me more empathetic
Yes.
and more interested in minorities.
Yes, yes.
Because I know what it's like to have that battle of
And
being
that's why-
different.
And that's
Yeah.
why I have no regrets, because growing up different and understanding that when people chase you in a stairwell and say Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees, look at these, and you cry and you go home and your father says, I never should have left China, and you begin to be embarrassed about who you are,
Right.
and then lie about who you are. People
Right.
would say you look Hawaiian, I say yes, and
Yes.
so it's a
Right.
beautiful looking back, which you get to do as you get older,
Mm-hmm.
although I'm ageless, looking at how all those experiences, because I was embarrassed and did not want to embrace my Chinese roots then, and then going through all of the understanding and growing through, looking at myself and understanding that I am perfect, whole, and complete, and looking and understanding that I am loving, loved, and lovable, and that being Chinese has this wonderful dimension that adds to my work and adds to who I am and adds to how I am able to relate to other people, then you don't regret it. And so, I do valuing diversity workshops.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
design valuing diversity
And
because
you wouldn't be doing that work
Correct.
if it wasn't for your background and your
Correct.
struggles.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
so that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To grow from, if life were easy, if life were always happy,
Yeah.
there'd be no growth.
Right.
So we
and we
would
wouldn't even know
never
what happy
expand.
was if we
Correct.
didn't
No
have
contrast.
the opposite. Yeah.
No contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I relate so much to what you're saying. This is like so resonating with me about, just, and everybody has their own thing. And for
Yes.
me, it was being gay and not wanting to share that with everybody. And at one point feeling ashamed and stuff,
Yeah.
and then realizing, like you said, when you get to a place in your life that you accept who you are and embrace it,
Yeah.
and say, "Oh
Yeah.
my
It's a
gosh, I'm
process.
actually happy about
Right.
this."
Right.
It's such a great feeling to get to that place where you own it and feel great about it, and then it does help you to help other people who are struggling with it.
Absolutely.
Because I still have friends and I know people that struggle with their various things,
Yeah.
whether they're a minority or gay or whatever they are.
Right.
And they are, and I hate to see people struggle because I just wish I could share with them that the gift is that when you are authentically yourself and you embrace yourself and love yourself exactly as you are, that's where the happiness is.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Yes. And part of it is and the reason why I called you weird was because it is normal to try to find out what's wrong. It's
Yes.
normal as a human being. My background is clinical, even though I'm an organizational psychologist. It's very normal to try to find out what is wrong. And in
Yes.
finding out what is wrong, you're looking at what is different. But it becomes a bad habit when you're always looking at what's wrong with yourself, what's wrong with other people around you, and then because of the law of attraction, that attention to wrong brings more wrong,
Yes.
and then it becomes a vicious circle. So that's why my show's about balancing out all the negative news and the CNN constantly negative news and all the
boy,
bad things
isn't
that
it?
are out there,
Yeah.
with let's focus on what's right. What is
Yes.
right with the world? What is right with you? What is right with me? Because then that focus becomes self-perpetuating. And then more
Absolutely.
good happens, more, you see the best in yourself, you see the best in others, which is why I started the 21-day fast from complaining. I don't know if I told you about that with Dr. Marissa. We started with 40 people, 2011, July 1st. We're now over 8,000 officially signed up. And I know because my numbers are pretty high as far as how much I splatter around the world in over 100 countries now, that there's a lot of people who are aware of trying not to complain
Yeah.
for 21 consecutive days to
I
try to
love that.
break the habit
Yes.
of only looking for what's wrong. And this forces you to sort of stop the habit and then start the new habit, because I ask you to replace complaining with gratitude. So there's a lot of people out there now who start their day with 8 gratitudes. I know Dr. Wayne Dyer used to say 5 gratitudes. I'm an overachiever, and 8's a lucky number in Chinese. It's a homonym for good fortune. So if you're out there and you want to change your life for 99 cents, go and get my app. It's 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa, and begin to be conscious of how negative you are. And I promise that if you start your day with gratitudes for 21 days in a row, your life will change.
I absolutely live by that. I
Good.
agree with you.
I know you do.
And I'm one of those weird people that I always look at the positive side. I know, but the majority of people, I do feel they immediately go to the negative.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, isn't it a beautiful day out? And they're like, yes, but I think it's going to rain.
Yes. Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
So that's a really cool thing you did. So you created
you.
this app that people can download.
The teenagers actually created
Yeah.
it, and my little 4-year-old great niece is the actress on the promo.
Oh, cute.
So you'll have to see that on YouTube. And
So do they go to the App Store to get this? Yeah.
both
okay.
stores. Both
Yeah.
stores. Yeah. If the easiest way to look for it is just to put in Dr. Marissa.
I love that. I'm going to download it and tell all my friends
Yay.
about it.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what made you decide to do that? You saw that it does take obviously 3 weeks to make a habit,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, the science
So-
is saying that. You
Yeah.
know, they say that it takes 21 days. Some
Yeah.
scientists say 28. 42.3% of statistics are made up on the spot. So
Yeah.
so we don't know exactly the truth on that. But I do know that what you perpetuate grows bigger. What you continue to do grows bigger. So
Right.
it's your choice whether you want to continue to do something that makes you feel bad or continue to do something that makes you feel good.
Now, I always say our background lends itself to what we do today, and that could be positive or negative. And you had shared with me, besides growing up like the only Chinese kid, you also had, abuse in your home.
Yes.
And so I think a lot of listeners relate to that.
Yep.
Maybe they grew up with that in their household. But I always say, as you get older and you're not subject to having to be in that household, you do make your own life. And some people choose to never let that go and keep choosing the wrong people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then other people recognize and say, oh, I have the power to choose a different life. And that's what you did.
Yes, choice is our secret weapon in life. The power of choice is the difference between choosing to live feeling like you will never catch up. Because if you feel like you are defined by the abuse that you had as a child, you will never feel like life is fair.
And it's much better to think that was then and this is now. Here's your clean slate, right?
But it's more than a mind thing, and this is what I do in my life balance coaching. It doesn't make rational sense why people would choose to continue to live in that past.
Right.
But emotionally and heart, you were hurt
Yes.
in a fundamental way.
Yes.
So when I coach people, it's not like I tell you to put your bootstraps on and get over it.
Right.
Everyone has to go into that big black hole that we all have,
Right.
dig out the shiitake, plant the seed, and then fill it up with the same shiitake as fertilizer.
Right.
Because what made us is going to grow us.
Right.
So that same pain, if we feel it fully and get to the point, and I have people fly in from all over to go to the beach with me, and in one day we've been able to go back one last time
Yeah.
and feel it fully, and then rise through it.
Right.
So it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. But I'm telling my job in life is to splatter as many people with the hope to know that it is never too late to love yourself. It is never too late to understand that this is your playground, that joy, to enjoy, be in joy, and that life is a playground and a joyride to be absolutely, completely immersed in. And to love, and that is the birthright of all of us. Now we have this around 10 years old. Even if you grew up in a very healthy background, we have this lie that comes up that somehow we're not good enough, worthy, beautiful, smart enough, especially women. And we kind of run with that. And that compounded with, if you were one of the 7 out of 10 psychology research says that did grow up in an unhealthy home, Oprah says it's 8 out of 10 as high as that. And since they call me the Asian Oprah, then I have to agree with her. But if you're one of the majority, and the majority of us are doomed to a life that we can't escape because we are heartbroken or completely like not whole because of what happened to us, that's a lot of people who are not living their lives. And so if you can, like you say, be able to recognize that I don't want that anymore.
Right.
I choose differently. I choose to invest in myself and in my life.
Yes.
And to know that it can be different. I am not my past pain.
Right.
I am not my future fear. I am in the present. It is a gift. So open it.
Yeah, and I do believe in that saying, the joy is in the present.
Absolutely. It's a
Right?
gift.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I have so many stops on this joy ride of life. I'm so blessed. A couple of years ago, I realized that there is no line between work and play for me.
Right.
My work is my play is my work.
Yeah.
And everyone can have that.
Yeah, I always say if I can't have fun, I don't want to play.
Yeah.
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 And I'm talking about work.
Yeah. Yeah. And the first thing to do is to turn the TV off.
Yes.
Stop listening to the media, weapon of mass distraction, about how horrible things are.
And then people will say, "Oh, but you have to be informed."
Yes, you
Yeah,
can be informed.
You have to be
Yeah,
informed,
I have it
but
on
you don't
here.
have to be obsessed with
Yeah.
it or let it take you down.
Exactly.
It can just suck the
Exactly.
life out of you.
Exactly. What I do is when I see bad news, I go searching for something good news.
Yeah.
So every time
That's
I
hard to
hear
find.
bad news, it's not hard to find. Listen to my show. Listen to your show.
Right,
Right.
right.
So every time you hear bad news, you go looking for good news to balance it out.
I like
and
that.
and soon see what that will change is. I bag on media, even though I'm media, because we put out what you want to see, right? So if you're attracted to the horrific, then guess what gets put on?
Right.
If it bleeds, it leads, right? But if we as consumers now say,
would turn it off.
I am turning off the bad news and I am going to look for the good news, then guess what? There is going to be more programming that shows the good news.
The one show I love every week, I don't know if you watch it, Sunday Morning. It's called CBS Sunday Morning. They always have great
news.
human interest stories.
It wouldn't
love
be,
it.
Wouldn't it
Why
be
isn't there more
wonderful?
of that?
Wouldn't it be wonderful
Yeah.
when every day
Yeah.
there was a show, human interest becomes the trending
Yeah.
topic.
I mean, really, who doesn't want to? I mean, when you hear these stories, like, I think last week they had some handicapped kid who had lost his arm, like half his arms, and he's like the basketball star of the team. I mean, this is the kind of story I want to see.
Yes.
That human drive that is so miraculous.
I
That's
had Frederick. You'll want to go back to my YouTube. He had both of his arms cut off by Rwandan in the Rwandan genocide, and he now has taken that pain and taken that life experience, and he now has opened a rehabilitation center in Rwanda for people like him. So those are the kinds of guests that I have on my show,
Right.
because I love when people go through shiitake and go through pain and go through what would be called tragedy and alchemize it into the
Something
blessing
positive.
and the gift to be able to help and make them a beneficial presence on the planet.
And that's you, because
And that's you.
You started off. Thank you. You started off with the prejudice and the abuse in the home.
Yes.
You then had a challenging marriage.
Yes, I did.
Because we often take our stuff into the relationships.
Yes, I
right?
was looking,
Yeah.
you choose what you know.
Yes.
And you also choose to try to resolve what didn't work.
Yes.
So those are two things of how we pick. And that's why our pickers, most of us, are broken. There's a beautiful book called Getting the Love That You Want by Harville Hendrix, who I'm going to have on
I
my
love
show.
Harville Hendrix.
And he, him and the Dalai Lama are the only two people I haven't got on my show that on my original list. But he has this exercise in the back of the book that sort of you pick the qualities that you liked and you didn't like about your primary caretakers. And then you look at the qualities that you picked in the person that you're in a relationship with.
line right up.
Oh, man, it was one
Yeah.
of those. Woo!
Yeah.
But anyways, I do not regret the marriage. I have two beautiful, beautiful girls,
Yeah.
Chloe May and Sarah Way, and I could have only had them with this particular man.
Right.
And so, again, just like the abuse, just like the whatever it is, you grow from it, you expand from it, you
Yes.
learn from it.
Right.
And my husband was an important part of my growing into who I wanted to be. You know, what better way to become a powerful being on the planet, which is what I wanted to do, than to choose. Right?
Yeah.
To be born into a family where you were powerless, and to be in a marriage where you were powerless again. And
Yes.
so now I'm not powerless.
Right. And I love that you had told me that you'd felt powerless as a child, and then
Yes.
again in the marriage, and that actually was a good thing because it empowered you.
Yes,
It
absolutely.
made you come out of there like, I'm going to be a powerful woman.
Yes.
You know? And
Yes.
so that's great. Now, somebody else might have continued to perpetuate that. And that's why
And
you
that's
coach
the- and
people
that's-
to pull them
yes.
out of that. So
Yeah.
you've got to change the pattern.
Yeah.
Some people do, some people don't. What do you think is the difference? What is it that makes some people overcome their challenges and other people get wallowed up in them?
I think part of it is fear of the unknown, not wanting to get hurt again. So we go into that protective mode, or you believing the lies that you're so damaged that you'll never get better, believing that
perception.
voice, perceiving who you are, a little tad bit of laziness, where it does take some work to actually, you have to, I started saying, turn the TV off, turn the Netflix off, turn the games off, spend an hour a day doing something, acting on your own behalf. That takes some work. You don't feel like going for a walk, go for a walk anyways. You don't feel like going on a healthy food plan, go on it anyways.
Anyway.
So it does take some work and some discipline to make that choice.
Would you say that when people do those things, write down their gratitude, take the walk, take the action toward
Yes.
what it is they want to be doing
Consistently.
and do those things that they don't feel like doing,
Yes.
that the beauty of it is when they start doing it, they feel so good and so high and so happy that it's so worth
Yeah.
putting in that little effort.
It's called esteem for esteemable acts. If you feel like shiitake and you are acting in a way that feeds your shiitake, then you should feel like shiitake.
Yeah.
If you feel like a piece of shiitake and you're doing things and making choices that are not good for you, are not about loving yourself, then you're going to feel like that.
Yes.
But when you choose and begin to do little bit, 15 minutes at a time, things that you know are acting on your own behalf, you will feel good about that. And that, again, then further fuels that feel good. So you're picking better feeling thoughts, you're choosing better feeling actions.
And you also put on a yearly
Retreat?
Yes,
in
Sedona,
I
right?
also do 4 times a year. I do Balance on the Beach as well. So the next one is July 15th in the Venice Beach area. So please go to my website and you can reserve your healing mat there. And I
is that
teach Tai Chi.
drmarissa.com?
drmarissa.tv.
.tv.
Yes.
That's the easiest way. Or
the number 4balance.org is also the same website. And you can also go to YouTube and subscribe on Dr. Marissa. I've got a new series, the Red Carpet series, where I got to interview Halle Berry, Quincy Jones, John Travolta. I just got my first photo credit on Forbes magazine for an interview team that I was part of at the Secret Knocks of Ed Snowden, which was a very interesting interview.
Dr. Marissa,
And,
why don't you do a few things? I know you told me you're a Leo on Leo on Leo on Leo,
Yeah,
so
6
that would
planets
explain
in
a lot.
Leo. Yeah. I juice my life. I juice every single possible.
I always say
nectar out of it.
squeeze it like a lemon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Take your black bananas and make banana bread.
I like that.
Yes.
Well, you are certainly doing it.
Thank
Keep
you.
just doing the amazing work. I know you're changing a lot of
yeah.
lives and giving back and making a difference. And I always love to have women on that are paying it forward, and you're doing just that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll teach you a little Chinese. This is the fighting hand in Tai Chi. I teach balanced Tai Chi Gong. So you close the fighting hand to show you come in peace. You hold the peace, put it at your heart chakra, and say xie xie. which is a Chinese namaste.
I love
Xie
it.
xie for having me on.
Oh, thank you. Namaste and Shisha.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
Xie xie.
Xie.
Xie xie. Very good. Yeah, we got to be really careful. It sounds like something else there.
Thank you, Dr. Marissa.
Yes.
And we will be right back with Mimi Donaldson.
Peace in.
The Live, Love, Thrive radio show is produced by 360karma.com. Are you a 360 Karma woman? If so, spread the word. Be sure to follow us on social media at 360 Karma Women on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please like us and share us with family and friends. This is the year of the woman, and we are stronger together. The Live, Love, Thrive program is brought to you in part by Honda of downtown Los Angeles, supporting the equality and empowerment of women.
And we are back with Mimi Donaldson. Hi, Mimi. How are you?
Hi, Catherine. Great.
Good. Awesome. I'm just going to move this down a little bit. Okay. You are a world-renowned speaker. You have quite a background.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I'm so happy our paths have crossed. I want to share with people because I think that women learning to speak is so important, and I know that you're a great speech coach as well as, you know, you have spoken all over the world, and you bring something special to the table that helps women learn to do speaking.
Yes, because they have to answer that question.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah.
So they have to have an answer. They
They
have to have some
have
words.
They have to have a concise answer and an interesting answer, right?
Interesting,
It's like,
yes.
you know, even if you're selling shoes, it's got to be, you know,
Especially
said
if
in a
you're
way,
selling shoes.
especially if you're selling shoes. Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to talk about where you're from. I know you were born in Chicago, right?
I was.
Yeah. So how did you make your journey here to Los Angeles? Like, what was that path?
Well, it was by way of New York City.
Okay.
Because I got my graduate school degree there at Columbia. And I met my best friend there. And she moved to L.A.
Okay.
And I thought, what a great idea.
Yeah.
So
sounds exciting, right?
that's
what
what
I
I
thought.
did.
I thought
And-
I'd come for a year. That was 11 years ago.
Yes, in 79 I moved.
Yeah.
So I consider myself a native.
Yeah. So you had like a great upbringing. You told me your parents were like
I
cast from
did.
Central Casting.
They were from Central Casting. You know, I always say you're dealt certain aces in your hand.
Yeah.
And I was not tall and thin, but I did have fabulous parents.
Right.
And I always wanted to
That's
be tall
me
and
too.
thin. Yes, exactly. And we're both very short. And they were just amazing. Dad was a doctor, mom was an ex-teacher, homemaker, and their first priority was being parents. And then secondly, husband and wife, and thirdly, their careers, but it's different now.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that way.
Right. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I can't really talk to that because I never had children of my own.
Yeah.
Because I thought if they can't be the star of my life for at least 20 years, which I didn't, I
Yeah,
wanted
you
to be the
weren't
star
seeing
of my
that.
life. I wasn't
Yeah.
seeing that.
Yeah.
So then I thought if I can't do it like my parents, I
Right.
don't want to do it
Right.
at all.
So I see here you grew up in a small town in Peoria.
Peoria. We
You were a
moved
cheerleader
in 8th
and-
grade. Oh, that was a shock.
Yeah.
From Chicago to Peoria. And I had a Chicago accent in Peoria. It was,
I bet that went over well.
yes, it didn't.
Especially at that
I
age.
was such
Yeah.
an outsider, but
Yeah.
everybody has that outsider experience.
Right. But you were a
And
cheerleader, so that kind of made you an
well,
insider.
Mom said if you can't join them, beat them. So I had the leads in the plays, and senior year, I finally made the cheerleading squad after trying out for 3 years in a row.
Wow.
But I
And-
finally did it.
And I know that the stage was your love.
Oh, I was going to be a Broadway star. I was a triple threat, singer, actor, dancer. And I went to London to drama school after college.
Yeah.
I mean, I really did it right. And I came back to New York
Yeah.
City, and I did one audition. I thought, no, this is not good.
Yeah.
For
But
me
what-
to have
but
to-
it wasn't quite that way, right? I love your story.
This audition story?
Yeah, you had this like big dreams of
You
coming
want
to
me to tell you
Broadway,
that?
and
Oh
yeah,
my gosh! All right, the audition story. I don't know if it's in any of my books, but I was right out of London. I still had my little inflection, my London accent, and the guy said, "Take off your clothes," and I said, "What?" You must be joking. You must be put up by one of my drama school buddies. And he said, no, don't you know the show? It was 1971. And I said, no. And he said, it's Oh Calcutta, which was a nudie show.
right, right,
And you had to be nude.
right.
And I said, no, I couldn't possibly. I did Shakespeare and Moliere. And I just turned and fled because tears were running down my face.
Right.
And it was the first time I saw the dirt on the Times Square and on the steps.
right.
And I thought, I have to be a waitress or a secretary and go to auditions?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And I don't remember New York when it was like that, but I do remember I would have people come visit me in New York. This is even many years after you were there, I'm sure, because it was just like in 2000. And people would say, oh, the streets are dirty or whatever. And I'd be like, they are?
No.
I didn't even notice because I
Never saw
love
it.
this city.
I
you know.
love New York so
I
much.
love New York.
No,
yeah.
New York is the city of my soul.
Yeah.
LA is my home. I
Yeah.
would never leave.
Yes, LA is awesome. They're both amazing in their own way.
In
You
their
know, people
own
ask me,
way.
"Do you like New York or LA?" Because I've lived in both.
Me
I
too.
honestly love both. I honestly think they're unique in their own different ways, and they're beautiful in their own different ways. I also lived in D.C. and Miami. I love those too. I'm a city
yes.
girl. You know.
I lived in London, New York.
Did you like London?
I loved it.
You loved
but
it.
it's like New York in that you don't go there for the weather.
Yes.
You live here for the weather.
Yeah.
You go there for the theater.
Yeah.
And the culture.
Yeah, I
and the
think people in
walking.
LA say, "How could you live in New York? The weather's terrible." And I think, well, there's more to it than weather.
Well, you don't live there for the weather.
Right.
And when I moved
Yeah.
out here, I actually felt semi-retired.
Yeah.
You don't work as hard.
Right.
Or as many hours.
It's like more casual and laid back.
and the sun
yeah.
is shining, and there are parking lots
Yeah.
that are free
Yeah.
when you pull up to somewhere.
Yeah.
You know.
You must live in the valley. 'Cause
No, I live in
the
Marina
city.
del Rey.
Oh, I was going to say, there's parking in Marina, but
There's
in
parking.
in the city, I got to tell you, there's no parking.
I know.
I had to laugh when I told my friends on the East Coast when I moved here. I go, you're not going to believe this. There's a valet at the IHOP because there's no parking. Yeah.
That's right. Wow, that's
Yeah.
a good.
But you know, in New York, I never even
LA
had a
thing.
car. I walked to everything.
Me neither.
Yeah.
No one has a car
Yeah.
in New York.
But let's talk about, so you had these challenging times in, just, starting over in new cities and
Always
stuff.
new city where
Yeah.
I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
But the biggest challenge I've had, which is a lot of your listeners and viewers, is that I was the first woman of something.
Right.
You know, like there were no women until then. I was the first woman, and
Right.
I was thinking about this show
Because
today.
you trained male managers.
Yes.
In
In
corporations.
human resources. Yes, I was
Right.
at Northrop Disney in Rockwell, all men, 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 men. Then I started being a keynote speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this so much today thinking of the show. But my biggest challenge was this guy looks in my face and he goes, well, you're the first female keynote speaker we've ever had. So I don't think they're going to like you very much.
Oh my gosh.
And there were 1,200 guys. I think it was the National Association of Life Underwriters. I think it was underwriters. And I thought, oh, and my heart started beating. It was the only time I was ever really nervous up till then.
Right.
Because I was the first woman. And after that, it was like a lot of those times.
And I bet you brought down the house.
They loved it. Thank goodness for my guys at Rockwell and
Right.
Northrop who had taught me how to speak to men.
Right. And is that a real thing that you teach women how to speak to men because it is a different delivery and approach.
Nowadays, not so much.
Okay.
I mean, you and I are bottom line people. It's not a gender-based thing.
Yeah.
But back in the 80s, women tended to chat and tell big, long stories.
Yeah.
And men like the bottom line. And you and I we like the bottom
Yeah,
line now,
right.
business women. So
Yeah.
women came into business in the 80s and they got the gender lines blurred. There are women who tell lots of stories with lots of words, who like to chat on the phone. I'm not one of them.
Right.
Doesn't make me different. It's
Yeah.
just we have more range now.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. Get me off the phone. But I do remember being a teenager
please.
thinking I wanted to talk on the phone for
I
hours,
loved
you
it.
know.
That was
Yeah. Now it's
no.
just, please text me.
Yes, please. Just what do you want? Why are you calling?
What's the bottom line?
I can't chat.
I do like in person, though.
I like in person.
I like in person.
I like
Yeah.
to have dinners or lunches.
Yeah.
But don't chat with me on the phone.
Okay. We're going to lunch. We'll be right back. No.
We are going to lunch.
Well, I think it's interesting that you really rose to the top in this male-dominated industry in a time when women weren't. And I think
Yes.
that's a wonderful story. And I love that my show got you to think about that road that you'd taken and kind of go back through that
did.
journey. I've had people come on the show before saying, wow, I kind of forgot about everything I've done till I started to recall
I
all the
know.
achievements. Women, they don't take as much credit as men do, I think, for all their milestones and achievements. and-
I'm always telling women that your mom was wrong about a couple of things. One of them was never toot your own horn.
Oh,
Remember
I don't
she
believe
told
that.
you that?
Yeah.
That was not true.
Right.
Because if you don't toot your horn,
Then nobody knows what
No
you're
one
doing
else.
and giving you credit for it. And
Yeah,
women,
exactly.
our culture definitely gives a short end of the stick to women as far as raising them in a way that most of them don't have self-confidence or, that courage to walk through their fears or
well,
take
it's the
risks.
apology thing.
Yeah.
It's the I'm sorry. Well, the Brits say sorry all the time. But when women apologize for things and we preface things, we say, well, I'm not sure about this, but
Right.
no.
Yeah.
One of the prerequisites to work with me as a speech coach,
Yes.
as in marketing, is you have to be able to say, I am good without flinching.
Right. Yeah.
So if people say, are you
Own it.
good at what you do? You have to say yes.
Yes.
Without blinking or
Yeah.
without saying, well, I've been told I'm good.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, what man would do that?
Don't do that.
Yeah, what man would say, I've been told I was good? Yeah,
None of them.
Yeah. Except maybe when you're talking about sex or something.
Oh, that's kind of good.
I've been told
Well,
I'm
I've been
good.
told I'm good. I like
That's
that.
when a man would say it.
That's what a man would say.
But we digress.
We digress.
So you help women who are starting businesses or are in business or even, in the corporate world. You help them be able to say to someone in 30, 60 seconds a tight and interesting, what do you call it?
Intro, like
intro.
a commercial, I call it.
Right, about yourself.
Yeah, because
So that-
you have to stand up at
yeah,
networking meetings.
and you have to leave somebody saying, I want to meet that person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I always say the words that should come out of your audience after you do your 30-second or 60-second commercial are, I think I need you. They need to come up to you and say, I think I need you. Those are the magic 5 words that allows you to invite them for a complimentary consulting call to see if we're a match.
Right.
That allows you to ask if you can send them some material. That allows you to ask if you can show them a sample or give them a sample.
Now, some people might look at this as like being salesy. And I want to get that out of people's head because I think if you're an interior designer, if you're an entrepreneur who's designed an app, if you're someone who has an accounting service, you're probably really good at what you do. It's probably
Right.
your gift.
Right.
And there is nothing wrong with being able to tell people who you are in an engaging way so
Yes.
that they can understand they really do need what it is that you
Yes,
have.
if they need it,
If they need
you
it.
are ready to provide it. And
Right.
the sentence I'm always telling women, especially, is sell is not a 4-letter word. Sell is allowing people to have your product or service if they need it.
If they need it, right.
So the first thing out of your mouth needs to be their need.
Right.
Lead with their
I
need.
always say, too, with these networking things,
Yeah.
I think the wrong approach is that people will go around just handing out their card to everybody. And I always say, give your wonderful pitch. If somebody needs what you have,
Oh, they will say,
they will come to you.
give me your card.
You want to attract business, not pressure people for business, right? Am
Yes,
I right? And I think
exactly.
that's what you do. You create that little sound bite that attracts the business.
Yes.
So that it comes easily without effort.
Well, that's what the
Yeah.
elevator pitch is.
Yeah.
Because you don't get 30 seconds in an elevator.
Yeah.
You get 8 seconds, 5
Right,
seconds.
right.
So if someone says, oh, what do you do? Because they saw your name tag because you're in an elevator at a convention or just they're bored, they say, what do you do? You have to engage.
Right.
So I always say in a very low tone, you can't do your 30-second. You can't go, well, my name's, no, you can't, you can't do that. You have to engage in a low tone and say, you know how some people hate speaking in front of a group? And they go, yeah, my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
And you go, well, I help with that. And they go, really? What do you do? And I say, I'm a speech coach. Oh, give me your card.
Right.
That's it. That's the
it.
elevator pitch.
Yeah.
So it's a sentence that
yes.
gets them to go, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one, Mimi.
It's a need.
That's
it's
a good one,
need
'cause
that you fill.
They say public speaking is one of the greatest fears people have.
Oh, it's number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Death is 5.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
why Seinfeld joke.
And there's flying and there's snakes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You think flying is-
Mine is snakes.
Remember the Seinfeld joke?
Yeah.
That at a funeral you'd rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy?
Right.
Because
Right.
death is number 5 on
yeah.
the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Wow.
a joke, but it's true.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they would rather die. Yeah, at Northrop, I got my taste of training guys to deliver engineering updates, but their knees were shaking underneath their
Wow.
trousers.
Wow.
I always thought that was a myth, that your knees are knocking, you're so nervous.
Yeah.
No, their trousers, you could see underneath the quiver.
Oh my gosh! And what do you think it
amazing.
is that makes people nervous about public speaking? Do you think it? Do you think? For me, this is my
Yes,
deduction.
what
You tell
is
me
it?
yours because you're the pro. I think it's caring so much about what other people think. Is that part of it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's caring about what other people think, but it's also which is the same thing
'Cause
as
we don't care
caring-
what other people think.
caring how you look.
Yes.
And caring how you're coming across. So the emphasis is on you.
Yeah.
Whereas here's how I say, here's how to calm your nerves. Mm-hmm. It's not about you.
Right.
It's about the audience.
Right.
So it's you
And
don't.
that you have something they need and want.
Well, what do they
Yeah.
need to hear? What's the question in their mind right now?
You're helping them.
Yes.
That's the way I look
What do
at
I
it.
need to answer for them? What is the question? Even if it's not about me, what is the question? If I speak to the audience, if I'm concerned about them, that helps your nerves.
Like when you say to somebody, you know how people get nervous about public speaking? Well, I help them with that.
Yes.
And you feel confident about that because you know you help them with that.
Exactly.
And it's something that people need and want. And so it's not about Mimi. It's about how do you help these people. And so then
Exactly.
you can feel good about delivering that.
And if the
right?
attention, yes, but
Yeah.
if the attention is off you and onto them, you're less likely to be nervous.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, totally.
You're not concentrating on you.
Yeah.
It's about them.
Yeah. So it's kind of an ego thing, isn't it? That
It is an ego
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. People have to get outside their ego.
It's tough.
And know that what they're doing or delivering is something that helps other people, whether it's their service, their product, their advice,
That's right.
whatever it is.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think you have to be other focused.
What is the most interesting speech that you've ever made and to whom and how did it affect you? Is
That's
there something that
hilarious.
pops? Is it pop into
What a
your
great
mind?
question. Well, the one that to the life underwriters where you've never, I don't think
Yeah.
they're going to like you.
Yeah.
But then also at the $1 Million Roundtable, this sticks out in my mind. That's all the insurance people who have sold $1 million plus that year. It's a big deal. And
Mm-hmm.
every year they get to go to a different city and have a huge convention called $1 Million Roundtable.
Wow.
And for you to get on the main platform, they call it, is a real honor. And so I had to pay my dues. I didn't really speak for them until 1995. And I had been in business since 84. So in 1995 at Toronto Convention Center, 7,500 people in the audience. It had been my biggest audience thus far. It was men and their spouses. And I was doing Men and Women, Can We Talk? Which is hilarious. It's like a stand-up routine. But so they are with their spouses, and I'm ready to go because I've done this speech many, many times, and I was confident that I was going to get laughs. But the guy comes up to me, takes my shoulders, and he looks me in the eye, the meeting planner, the big guy in charge of it, and he goes, Mimi, this is going to be the most important speech of your life. And I looked at him and went, no, don't tell me that. I'm going on now. I don't tell.
Why would he do that?
Well,
Yeah.
he was actually right.
Oh, okay.
He said, if you do well, you will have insurance companies wanting you to speak for them because they're all out there.
Right.
7,500 people.
Wow.
I remember I was terrified. I was shaking. Nobody saw it.
Yeah.
And I got over it quickly because I know how to do that a minute in. And how I got over it? Concentrating on the audience.
Yeah.
Making eye contact. Looking at somebody in the first row, which was very far away in the
Yes.
convention center. Not happy about that.
Right.
That was...
And probably knowing exactly what you wanted to get across.
Oh, you have to have your beginning memorized.
Yeah.
You got those sound bites
And
memorized.
then you're on a roll.
You're ready to go.
Yeah. And you know what you want to accomplish, what information
Yes, and
you want to get
each
out there.
step, and you have to do it a lot.
Yes.
It has to be like talking,
Yes.
but it has to be specific talking,
It's
not
kind of
ums
like
and
acting,
uhs.
and you had that
Oh, it's a
background.
script.
It is.
Oh, it's
and
a
it's like
script.
acting when an actor knows their lines inside out, that they don't
Yes.
even have to think about it. Then they can own it, and it can be roll off their tongue
Exactly.
and be easy. But if they're struggling for the words, that's the same for a
know.
speechwriter. So
And I tell
speaking,
them,
yeah,
you don't have to
similar.
memorize it word for word,
Right.
but you have to memorize it in thought groups. Like
gist
if
of
I
it.
say the Justice of the Peace story, your story, do you know what I'm talking about? Can you just talk about that story? Give me that story.
Right.
And then I'll say, okay, there are some sentences in there that are so good you have to say it exactly that way.
Right.
Because it's like a stand-up routine.
I was
If-
going to say, and one of the reasons that makes you a great speaker is that you put comedy into your
Oh, you have to.
into your speaking.
Nowadays, everybody's it's the golden age of comedy. Just
Yes.
like in the 80s when the improv and a comedy store.
Yeah.
Well, now we have online.
Right.
We have YouTube. All the great stand-ups are on YouTube.
Yes.
And we have a 24/7 comedy channel.
Do you think it's important when you open a speech that you start with something comedy,
Not really.
something comical?
I don't.
No. Okay.
I think that's cheesy.
But you just want to.
Unless-
I didn't know if it broke the ice.
Oh
or-
yeah, I did. It's always leading with the need of the audience.
Yes.
So I was at this convention in Vancouver a couple of years ago. It's very recent, and I was the last speaker on a 3-day program.
Oh my gosh, that had to
And
be
I
painful.
actually was there
Yeah.
for 2 of those for the last 2 days. I watched every keynoter and I took notes because I wanted to recall some things because I was the final keynoter. So it was my ultimate challenge to, write down stuff. And I came out there and I said, wow, 3 days of fabulousness and food. Have you ever seen so much food? They laughed.
Yeah.
Because that was a gorgeous hotel.
Yeah.
Right? 5-star, whatever, a hotel, 4-star. And it had breakfast, huge buffet with
Yeah.
eggs Benedict and
Yeah.
Then they had a mid-morning tea break with
Yeah.
coffee break and
Yeah.
rolls and
So every 5 minutes.
oh my gosh. Then
It's
they
like being
had
on a
lunch.
cruise.
Oh, it was just like it. And then in the afternoon they had an ice cream break at 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Oh my gosh.
And then they had dinner.
oh my
it
gosh,
was-
that's funny.
so that made them laugh.
Have you ever spoken on a cruise? Not really.
I'm kind of a seasick kind of person.
Oh.
I like living on the edge of the sea, which I
Right.
always do.
Right.
But I went on one cruise to a very short cruise to Mexico, and I spoke on the cruise. But I had to wear a patch for
Oh,
my
right.
nose, and a bracelet. And you can't drink anything. So what's the fun? No
You could only
liquor.
eat.
Yeah, no liquor. With you wear a patch, you can't drink liquor.
Right,
it's against
right.
the scopolamine or whatever it's called.
So your most exciting gig, you think, was the most recent with the Vancouver? Or?
Well, exciting has to be women's conferences.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
yes, I did.
You love empowering women.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. 3,000 women a bunch of times. And 8,000, I was on the program with Gloria Steinem, one of my heroes.
Oh my gosh, how exciting.
Oh, she was a fellow keynoter. I've keynoted with her 3 times.
Wow.
And had dinner with her twice.
She
so
is amazing. I saw
Yeah.
her speak last year at UCLA.
She's very nervous
Yeah.
when she speaks. She's not. One time in Long Beach at the women's conference, I saw her press on the lectern so hard, and her tension was coming through her arms, and she actually lifted the lectern
Really?
this much off the floor, and everyone in the first few rows went, oh, like that. Oh. And then she went, oh, excuse me, I'm so nervous. I put that in one of my books. It was hilarious. That's how nervous you can get.
Yes. Let's close with those 3 books that you've written.
Oh,
So
sure.
I know you have Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect is the newest one.
Yes.
Speak to grow your business in 7 simple steps. And it's not just growing your business, it's how to speak up at a meeting.
Right.
If you're a corporate person.
Because not everybody's going to be a speaker on
No,
a stage.
no.
So by public speaking and by needing coaching by you, we mean standing up at a
meeting.
at a chamber meeting or a meeting of 3 or 4 people. You have to know
Or
how
your
to speak.
board meeting or
Yeah.
your company meeting.
Yeah, I think it's the number one thing that women need to learn is how
they
to publicly
do.
speak. It really
Speak
will
up.
help boost this revolution that we're going through of lifting women into more positions of influence. And the better they speak and the more they are comfortable they are with public speaking, I think the more women we will see at the decision-making table.
I love that. I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
So that's the most recent book.
Yes.
The next one down, the 2010 one, was called Necessary Roughness, New Rules for the Contact Sport of Life, and it was an ode to my favorite sport, football. And it was addressed to women because I taught assertiveness in the 80s and 90s. We know all that. But now it's time to get our knuckles in the dirt and really compete.
Yes.
We own multi-million-dollar businesses now. It's time to really.
We own the
we have to get dirty.
entrepreneurial sector.
Yes, we
Yeah.
do.
And what about the first book?
And the first book was Bless Your Stress. It means you're still alive. Because I've taught stress management for years and years. And I put it all into this book, but Bless Your Stress, it means you're still alive.
And they can get your books online?
On my website or on Amazon, you can get it really cheap.
Yeah.
Yes, they're on Amazon and they're
Or
on my website.
MimiDonaldson.com.
MimiDonaldson.com. Aren't you the best?
And they would love, if they want to, talk to you about coaching and learning how to
Yes.
speak or do the perfect pitch. They can either pick up
Yes.
the book or they can pick up the phone or email you and have you help them do that. So
Yep.
thank
All
you.
my contact information is on MimiDonaldson.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you for empowering women to
Thank you,
speak.
Catherine, so
Appreciate
much.
that you share your talent with everybody, and you're just a great little ball of zesty energy. And I love
well,
that you bring
it
that
takes
to the
one to
table.
know one little ball of zesty energy.
Thank you. Well, thanks for being on, and thank you all for tuning in this week. We will see you next week at the same time, Wednesdays at noon here on UBN, as well as on YouTube, iHeart, iTunes, wherever you find your podcasts. Thanks so much. Hugs and happiness.